you very much. General, please can you give our General Secretary another round of applause? He's really working very, very hard for all of us. Please sit down. Thank you very much. Eminent clergy, our ministers of state, members of parliament, Ghana's ambassador to the United States, the chairperson of the Npp-Usa branch, chairpersons of various chapters, our distinguished Nananom who are here present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure and an honor to be standing before you tonight on the occasion of the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Npp-Usa as the presidential candidate and flag bearer of the new patriotic party. This is a particularly humbling moment for me because this is really the first time I'm meeting the Npp-Usa party as the flag bearer. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you from the bottom of my heart, to thank you so much for the support you gave to me through the presidential primaries. It was invaluable. When I had the invitation to come here to join you in these celebrations, I did not hesitate. I told the Iron Lady, whatever it takes, I'm going to be here to be with you. So even though I'm currently on the campaign trail, as many of you know, I've had to suspend my campaign and come here so that we can celebrate this before I go back. Npp-Usa is very remarkable as far as the NPP's history is concerned. It was formed in very difficult times for our country. This was during the PNDC sort of era that the founders were here and were engaged in a lot of political activity amongst themselves before we actually got the ban lifted. But they were trying in various ways to keep the MPP alive. And then the party itself, the USA branch, was formed 30 years ago. The founders served the party, they sacrificed for the party in many ways. We cannot mention all of them, but you know, as has been said, people like Dr. Jude Edu, people like Charles Ejeyamwama, who is deceased now, people like Frank Tewia, people like Mohamed Idris, Honorable Boakye Jako, Charles Amwasante. There are a lot of many people. Aaron Ohene, who was here. There's so many people who really sacrificed to make us inherit what we are inherited here today, to be Npp-Usa. At that time, I don't think they expected that we would have 27 chapters here that we have today. But from those small beginnings, Npp-Usa has become so formidable within the whole NPP structure. And they've done so well. They've committed and done a lot for the party. They've helped us entrench democracy in Ghana. They were essentially a think tank for the party. and so many things were done. I mean, the ROPA bill, for example, has its roots in Npp-Usa, which President Kufuor signed into law in 2006. It has not yet been implemented as was designed, but I want to promise you that it will be implemented when I'm president. I believe that we can do it, and we're putting in the structures to be able to do it. I'm very committed to it, and I think as a country will benefit a lot from the human capital in the diaspora if we allow all diasporans to compete for all positions that are available for others in Ghana. So we're going to work on that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing an election in about 7 months' time. We are facing a general election, and it is fundamentally between us and our opponents in the NDC, and they are seriously lacing their boots, and in fact, they are thinking, if you listen to them, that they've already won the election. Isn't it? That is the noise they have been making. What we will ask them is for the where. Where are they going to pass to win this election? On what basis are they going to even claim that they have a chance? Is it their record in government when they were in government? Is it their performance? Is it their vision? So where are they going to pass? As I say, want to say Sydney. Because when you look at their record in government, and it is something that even though they think we have short memories, we don't really have that short a memory. We saw how economic growth basically collapsed from what they inherited from President Kufuor, coming down to about 3.4% from over 8% that they inherited. We saw low agricultural growth. We saw low industrial growth. We saw an economy that did not face a crisis. They didn't face COVID. They didn't face the Ukraine crisis. That global crisis, the worst since the Great Depression of the 1930s. They didn't face a crisis, but they had to cancel teacher training allowance. They had to cancel nursing training allowances. And they could not even, think about how to implement free senior high school education. So many kids were not going to school because they couldn't afford it. Chalk in school was a problem. Chalk, just common chalk in school was a problem. So this was the type of economy they left behind. And we have come into office over the last 7 years. And the comparative performance is practically like night and day. Of course, it's not everything that we want to do that we have been able to do. That is true. But if it is comparing to them, we have done much, much more. If they are the comparative metric for us, the performance in agriculture, we have doubled agricultural growth rates compared to them, doubled. We have performed higher in industry growth, revived many industries. Jobs, they were creating unemployment, we are creating jobs. We have created over the last 7 years, 2.1 million jobs, all documented. 1.2 million jobs in the public sector and 975,000 jobs in the private sector. With a crisis, and even in the midst of COVID, we were recruiting more nurses. Even in the midst of COVID, we did not lay off a single public sector worker. We are creating jobs, more jobs than any other government in the history of Ghana. The history of Ghana since 1957. 2.1 million jobs in 7 years. No government has that record. No government. We have built more roads than any other government in the Fourth Republic, even though we still have more to do, but no other government has built more roads than we have. The data is clear. We have built more airports than any other government. We have built more railway lines, than any other government. That since independence, any other government. If you look at courts, we are building more courts, 120 courts, because the courts were totally dilapidated. 120 courts, 80 have been finished, and the others will be also finished soon, with bungalows for the judges and so on. We are building more hospitals than any other government in the Fourth Republic. Agenda 111 alone is about 100 hospitals and others that are being constructed. More fish landing sites than any other government that we have constructed. More sanitation facilities. Sometimes they make a mockery about the number of sanitation facilities that we have built. But we have the lowest level of cholera. We have the lowest level of cholera in the Fourth Republic under the NPP government because we put in these sanitation facilities. 5,400 communities have been declared open defecation free as a result of our investments. 5,400 communities. We have really equipped the security forces more than any other government. Vehicles and equipment, ammunition and so on, more than any other government. And under the NPP, as Joe Anochi will tell you, actually because he gave me the data, 93 Ghana's fiber optic cable that we have, NCA licensed fiber optic cable, 93% of Ghana's NCA licensed fiber optic cable for the internet and so on has been put in place under the NPP government since 2017. 93% of NCA licensed fiber optic cable is been put in place since 2017. You look at sports facilities, and no government has put in place more sports facilities than the NPP. No government. When we came into office, astroturfs were 3 in the whole of Ghana. Astroturfs. Today, we have over 150 astroturfs. We are building 10 multi-purpose stadiums. We have completed 6 so far, and we'll complete some more before the end of the year. 10 multi-purpose stadiums, first class. We've completed the Boteman Sports Stadium, which we used for the African Games, and the University of Ghana Sports Stadium as well. No government has invested as much in sports as we have. More rural telephone than any government in the Fourth Republic. When we came in, the ABC had done 78 sites, 78 for rural telephony. We have done 1,070 sites. 1,070 sites. So if you look at some of the basic metrics that we normally look at to measure development. That is normally looked at. We have just outperformed them. Virtually in every sector, we have outperformed them. And then when you think about the transformational things that we have done, that is beyond the basic infrastructure that we are laying down, like the roads and the courts and so on, because I also failed to mention, we built more classrooms than any other government in the Fourth Republic, more classrooms. As the brilliant education minister was telling us. By the way, he was trained in Jack Pramso and the United States. I mean, you see that we are being so transformational, even with the type of classrooms and schools we are building. But we are looking at Ghana participating fully in the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and our government took the decision that Ghana is not going to be left behind. We are going to be full participants in the fourth industrial revolution. We are going to prepare Ghana to be a full participant. And this is why His Excellency the President gave me that role when I became Vice President, to, amongst others, focus on how we prepare Ghana for the fourth industrial revolution. We've championed the issue because if you're looking at any country, the fundamental instrument or tool for full participation in the fourth industrial revolution is identity, digital identity. Your citizens and your population must be identified uniquely. And so we went to say, look, let's issue the Ghana card as President Kufuor had put it in place, the law and everything. But when we came into office, a total of only 900,000 Ghana cards had been issued, and they were not really fit for purpose. And today, we have issued 17.6 million Ghana cards. 17.6 million Ghana cards. And, you know, what is interesting about the issue about the Ghana card is that it is also, you know, helping us deal with many problems and challenges. The unique identification the Ghana card has provided us is helping us deal with corruption, especially in the area of ghost workers. I've seen the former controller here. Where are you? He was here. He was here earlier. I worked with him, and we said, look, many ghost workers exist on our payroll. Let us make sure that we can use the Ghana card to eliminate the ghost workers. So how did we do it? We said, look, every worker must have a Ghana card because each worker therefore then will have a unique fingerprints on the Ghana card. If you are a ghost, you cannot have fingerprints. So immediately we asked for the fingerprints, the ghosts ran away. In National Service Secretariat, we identified 44,000 ghost workers. That saved us over 400 million Ghana cedis a year. Then in the Senate, we identified 19,000 ghost pensions. That saved us another 300 and something million. The two institutions alone saving 700 million. Then control in its own general payroll So today we can say that thanks to the Ghana card, we have cleaned out all the ghost workers in the public sector payroll. We have done exactly that. Today, with what we have also done, which is now, I launched it a few months ago. Today, any baby born in Ghana, if you take the baby for weigh-in, we are going to give the baby the Ghana card number and the birth certificate number at the same time. This is what happens in the United States, isn't it? Yeah, that's what happens in the United States. It's happening in Ghana today, so that we can have our database together. So we have done the above 15. We are doing the babies now, and this year we are going into the schools to do all the school children for Ghana cards, so that we have a complete database. And this is something which is transformational. If you look at Europe, for example, Europe, they have set 2030 for all EU members to issue the equivalent of a Ghana card to all their citizens. 2030. But Ghana, we have pretty much, we have done it already. So we are in the very, very driver's seat as far as we are concerned, as far as the Ghana card is concerned. And with that, Ajay Aboa is here. We with Student Loan Trust Fund, we got to a decision that if you are getting a student loan, you no longer need a guarantor to get the loan. If you have your Ghana card, that is sufficient guarantee, and you will get the loan with it. And thank you, Ajay Aboa, for your work on that policy. Today, your Ghana card is your tax identification number, it is your SNID number, it is your NHIS number, and all of that. You have one number for all of these. It is linked to your SIM card, it is linked to your bank account, it's linked to your DVLA. So we are building an ecosystem where everybody is uniquely identified across all the databases, and we have done so. And next year, by the grace of God, I'm bringing in a new policy after the election. If you have a Ghana card, you will no longer have to apply separately for a passport. Why do I say so? Because at the time we're doing the Ghana card, I asked for the passport form, and I said, make sure all the questions on the passport form are also on the Ghana card form. So you have the same data. So basically, if you have a Ghana card and you want to apply for a passport, they have the biometrics, they have the pictures. So all you will need to do is pay the fee, and they will print the passport for you. You don't need to duplicate things going forward. Ghana, we also now have a digital address system. So there's no place in Ghana that doesn't have a digital address, even if it's on water. You will have a digital address. Every 5 by 5 square meter of Ghanaian water or land has a digital address. So you can't get lost anymore. You don't need to the cocoa cellar or the brew house to find directions to anywhere. You can find your directions anywhere. And this is really helping e-commerce in Ghana. And we are the second country in the whole world to implement a digital address system. Ghana is the second country. We've also introduced mobile money interoperability to make sure that the mobile money account, which a lot of people have, operates just like a bank account. So there's interoperability between the two. And so there's a lot of financial inclusion. And Ghana is the first country in the whole of Africa to have interoperability between the mobile account and the bank account. And we are very, very proud of that. We've also introduced drones to to deliver medicines and blood and vaccines across the villages. A lot of rural areas are relying on the drones now. We are delivering the medicines to 2,800 health facilities in Ghana. 2,800. And they are saving lives every day. I had to come to America, to San Francisco, to talk to Zipline, to come and set up in Ghana. They've set up 6 centers, and each center is delivering about 100 flights a day and saving lives. And today, Ghana, our own Ghana, is the largest drone medical delivery service in the whole world. We are number 1, the whole world. Recently, they came to hire someone from Ghana to come to San Francisco for drone flight operations, which is just incredible because of the experience that, and all our drone centers are manned by Ghanaians, 100%. No foreigner is manning our 6 drone centers. And so the young men and women are doing fantastic. We are also in the process of networking all our hospitals and our patient data. In every hospital we finished with the teaching hospitals, with the regional hospitals, with the district hospitals. All are done. So now we are heading into the clinics and the CHIPS compounds and everything, which we expect to finish next year. But what it means is that if they transfer you, say from WA, they refer you, say from WA or Jirampa or, anywhere to Konfuanochi or to Kolebu, you no longer need to find your folder and take it. All you need is your ID number. You get to Kolebu, don't enter it into the system, and all the patient data is available to really help us in healthcare, because otherwise before you could go to a hospital and they'll tell you we can't find your folder. And then you have a problem in that. So we have done that. We are the first country in Africa to issue all our senior high school students with tablets. So 1 student, 1 tablet, thanks to Dr. Yao Educhu, that we are now doing that. And it's really, all their textbooks are on the tablet and their past exam questions and so on. This level of students are very lucky. It's not like when you and I were in school. They are getting all of these. People are able now to renew and enroll on national health insurance just on the mobile phone. You don't need to go. It's been very easy. Today you can buy electricity also on your mobile phone. In fact, you can sit here in Washington and buy electricity or for your house in Accra or in Kumasi or in Canada. We have made it very, very, very simple. One of the things that I want to introduce next is to digitalize land titling and land transfer and acquisition. That is the next major digitalization that we are going to do, because there's so much problems in buying land in Ghana. And everything has to do with who is the genuine owner of the land. And so many people, falsely sell land, and we have so much litigation in our courts on land. In fact, the Chief Justice tells me that is the largest set of cases have to do with land. And so we are going to digitalize, do the mapping, and digitalize the process so that anybody sitting on their mobile phone anywhere in the world, if you give me the coordinates of that piece of land, I can tell you right there who owns that land, and therefore nobody should be able to do that. So once we digitalize the land process, I think it's going to really help us develop a mortgage market, which today we are having difficulty of developing. So land is not really playing its effective role in the economy. Can you imagine in the US that the mortgage market did not exist? That will be chaos. I mean, that will be chaos. That right now it doesn't exist practically. It's very little in Ghana. We are going to, once we digitalize land, will really provide us an opportunity to do the mortgage market. There are two other things that we want to do in the digital space, so that we are going to do in the digital space. One is the credit system in Ghana. For those of you who work in the financial sector, you realize that our credit system is not as developed, say, as in the US and so on. Why the US credit system works is that every individual has a credit score, isn't it? Yeah, if you are a bad borrower, it will reflect in your credit score. If you are a good borrower, it will reflect in your credit score. Ghana, we did not have the database that would allow credit reference agencies to calculate individual credit scores for our citizens. But now that we have put all of these pieces of data together and we have linked and integrated the databases to a very large extent, even if you are using mobile money. What is about to happen, and I'm very happy to let you know, that individual credit scoring is going to start in Ghana this year. This year, we have completed the work and we are going to start individual credit scoring this year. We'll launch it in the next couple of months, and it will change the whole dynamic and the opportunity for people to get credit, and for also to bring in some discipline, because you know that if you behave badly, it will affect your credit score, and it brings therefore some discipline to it. So it is something that we are going to really do in Ghana. And so that is one thing we should take note of. So if you look at the other policies we've implemented, like the Zongo Development Fund, one constituency, one ambulance, gold for oil, hostels for the Kaya training centers that we just launched last week, you see that we've done a lot of work. There's no doubt about it that we've had some challenges given the increase in cost of living. But can you imagine if it was NDC that had to manage COVID? Can you imagine that if COVID had happened in their time, how would they have managed it? I mean, it's just something that we should thank God that they weren't in office at that time. We managed it, and we're one of the best managers of COVID in the world. That is essentially what everybody has said. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's clear in terms of the record, in terms of the performance, that our record has been far superior to that of the NDC record. And that's why I don't see how they can come. But our vision is even more compelling and superior. There are many things I want to see happen if, and by the grace of God, I am president, that I want us to really focus on agriculture and bring technology into agriculture. Bring large-scale commercial agriculture supported by irrigation and technology. We need to move away from the small-scale agriculture that we have been having, which really doesn't allow for economies of scale. Agric today is about technology, and we need to focus on that. I also want Ghana to move away from a reliance on liquid fuels and so on to the generation of electricity. I think it is time for Ghana to make a major push towards solar power, and let solar power lead our generation of electricity. So I would like to bring in at least 2,000 megawatts of solar power in the first 4 years, and I believe that is more than 50% of our consumption of electricity, and will reduce the cost of power significantly, at least by 50% if we move into that direction. I also want the private sector to be front and center in my government. I want government expenditure to come down, and we will allow the private sector to do more. If, things are properly structured, the private sector can do a lot of what government is doing, whether it's in roads, building hospitals, schools, dormitories, vehicles, and so on. You don't have to sit down and look for 100% of the money to go and build some schools or buy some vehicles. If you want to build schools, you can tell our dormitories, you can tell the private sector, you build this, we'll rent it from you for a certain amount of years, and maybe after that, ownership reverts to us. And they will build it. They will use their money and build it, knowing full well government will rent it from them. And this is how to get the private sector. If you want to buy vehicles, lease them. You don't have to buy them. Lease them and let the schools or whichever services use the vehicles. Government can pay for them bit by bit over time. You don't burden government. The private sector will help you, and then you can get all of these done. We have a cash mentality. You have to accumulate all the cash and go and put it somewhere. There's a credit system. Use it. When you bring in the private sector, we can do. I want to also change the tax system in Ghana. Our tax system is burdensome and not understandable. And I believe that we need a simple, transparent tax system that is not burdensome on individuals and businesses. I've studied this issue, and I've come to the conclusion the most tax competitive country in the world is Estonia. And they will create a flat tax system. And I'm convinced that a flat tax system will broaden the tax base in Ghana and allow us to be able to be compliant. So this is the tax system I want for Ghana to have. It's a very simple, anybody can calculate their tax on their mobile phone. A calculator, if it's 10%, it's like you are paying your tithe in church. If it's 10%, it's 10%. That's the end of the story. You don't need a lot of complicated accountants to come and find out how much taxes you owe. So in 2025, by God's grace, if I'm elected as president, I will be granting a tax amnesty. I'll be granting a tax amnesty to businesses and to individuals so that we all start on a fresh slate with the flat tax system. So we will have a tax amnesty. When I visited with the Pope maybe it was last month or so, at the Vatican, Cardinal Peter Turkson was taking me around the Basilica to show me, and some work was going on there, and I asked him, what is this? And he said, next year is Jubilee year, so they are working in preparation for Jubilee year. And I said, what happens in Jubilee year? He said, in Jubilee year, we have a lot of forgiveness. In Jubilee year, I said, is that right? I said, then 2025 is really Jubilee year, because I'm also going to forgive taxes in Ghana in 2025. So, the other tax reform I want to do is in import duty. I think the import duty system is a bit complicated and also high. If you look at it, a lot of the people, when you import something, you never really know how much you're going to pay in duty until you get there. You may think you pay 1,000 cedis, but you may get there and it's 1,500 cedis, and you are not able to clear your goods, and then it is confiscated and sold to somebody for 200 cedis. Isn't it? Yeah. So we need clarity, predictability, and simplicity in the regime. And so what I am advocating is also flat rates in the import duty regime. If you are bringing in spare parts, and it's a 40-footer container. If it is 20,000 cedis, let's say it's 20,000 cedis. And that is what you are paying when it arrives. If it's a 20-foot container and it's 10,000, then that is it. If it's rice, there are flat duty rates to it, and there is predictability. The next part I want to do is to look at our duty rates compared to Togo. Togo, Lomé Port, is our main competitor. And so you are seeing a lot of people say Ghana is more expensive, so they are smuggling the goods through Togo. GPHA, isn't that the case? Yeah, they are smuggling through Togo. They will come and declare in Togo and don't bring the container traffic to Ghana. We are going to bring in a new policy to stop all of this. Ghana's duties will not be higher than Togo's duties. That is where we will start from. This is where we are going to start from. We can be lower, but we will not be high. They are our competitor. So that is where we are starting from. We will not be high. And therefore, we will bring the traffic and the revenue back to Ghana, and we will also have a much simpler duty regime to implement, and so on. So we have many things that we're doing. I want us to focus on tourism. I want us to focus on sports, the creative arts, pharmaceuticals. I want us to train our youth in digital skills, 1 million youth in digital skills. I want Ghana to really use blockchain technology to stop corruption in government. Blockchain technology makes it impossible to essentially change records. So there's transparency and you can trace every transaction. And so we want to be Africa's first blockchain-powered government, so that we bring in discipline into government. And this is where I want Ghana to go. And as I've already told you, I want us to do ROPA well. I want us to also relook at our regime in the mining sector and make sure that we can really formalize small-scale mining and be able to buy the gold, responsibly mine gold, so that we can support our currency. So basically, there's a manifesto that is going to come out soon, but I just wanted to give you some highlights of my thinking of the way forward for Ghana. I think that Ghana can be one of the most developed countries in the world if we put our minds to it. I don't want anyone to think that is far-fetched. I say it is possible. It is possible. It is possible. Thank you so much. God bless you, Npp-Usa. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, DJ, and thank you, everyone. Thanks to His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, presidential candidate, and the leader of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you for the message. It is well received by us and the diaspora as a whole. We're so grateful for your presence and for your words of encouragement. At this point, we'd like to call on a few of the alumni of Npp-Usa. Npp-Usa alumni, we are calling upon you to come forward so you can be recognized. Npp-Usa alumni. I would like to call on Honorable Yao Osei Educhu, Minister of Education, to come forward. Dr. Joseph Anochi, Director General of NCA, Mr. Jeffrey Kroma Edrabo, CEO of Senlos, please come forward. Dr. Akwesi Afriye Achampon, please come forward. Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, Dr. Alexander Yao Eduse Jr., please come forward. Mr. Muktari Sahanu Mujib, Mr. Ali Suraj, Mr. Prince Kamal Guma, Ms. Josephina Jekun, Dr. Ben Kedi Asanti, Mr. Kwesi Ajiman Buzier Fieri, Mr. Edward Osser, Dr. Moya Osser, please come forward. Mr. Kwabena Ampofo Apia, please, you may step out here for your recognition. Honorable Francis Olsen